What's a neighborhood plan?
And how can we use it to get what we want for our neighborhoods? Hello! I hope you and your loved ones are doing all right. We're Jay and Damon at Hector, a design and planning studio hired to work on this plan with you. In this video, we'll discuss project introduction, neighborhood overview, and then dive into neighborhood ingredients, finally discuss next steps.
This project is led by a coalition of community organizations who are very focused on the area between 4th and 9th Streets, from Mifflin Street down to Oregon. This includes CMAC, Cambodian Association of Greater Philadelphia, Friends of Mifflin Square Park, Corinne Community of Philadelphia, and United Communities Southeast Philadelphia, along with a larger steering committee including registered community organizations, RCOs, and government agencies. The community partners leading this project already do so many things in this area, like helping residents find jobs and places to live, deal with the government, access public benefits, and in these hard times, get food and day-to-day support. Over the last decade, these groups decided to work more cooperatively as a coalition and have had many notable wins, including running preschool and after-school programs, supporting community gardeners and renovating 2 gardens, bringing food vending back to Mifflin Square Park with a variety of chefs. They have also cleaned and beautified South 7th Street, including forming a 7th Street Shops Advisory Committee. They've advocated for Indigo bike stations and raised our profile as a place with so much to offer, from food to architecture. The Mifflin Coalition has worked to upgrade the area's main open space at Mifflin Square, including activities for families and young people, community cleanups, building new gathering places like the superseating, and completing a community-driven vision design for rebuilding the park, which has already led to the Philly Water Department agreeing to construct entry at 6th and Rittner, and winning a $750,000 federal grant to begin work on the playground. Of course, there are many other things these organizations would like to address in this area, such as affordable, good quality housing, preventing displacement of current residents, and increasing the community's power over how it develops. So this year, we are working on another piece of the puzzle, a booklet, a community neighborhood plan that collects our goals for our neighborhoods and our plans for how to reach our goals. It will include information on the current state of the neighborhood and how we want it to change, things that we will do ourselves as residents and organizations, as well as things we want to persuade city government or others to do.
Why create a written neighborhood plan? To keep neighborhood organizations coordinated, to show city government and others what we want, to attract funding and other support for our goals, and to inform and organize residents to create more community power. Since a neighborhood is a complicated thing with lots of related people and things, we think of it like a delicious soup of many ingredients. There's the overall environment, including cleanliness and safety, as well as the health of people, trees, air, food, and more. Then the parks and public spaces, local institutions like schools, recreation centers, community organizations, temples, churches, and mosques. The third ingredient are the businesses and shopping in the community. Fourth is a big one, the houses and apartments where people live. And fifth is the way that peoples get around, like walking, the bus, bikes, and more. We think that if each of these ingredients is good for the people who live here, that's a good start for a happy life. For each of these ingredients, the neighborhood plan will first include facts on the ground that describe the current situation, good things and not so good. Then for each ingredient, recommended actions, which are things we can do individually and as neighborhood groups, and recommended advocacy, things that we want to convince city government or others to do. To create these recommendations, we're beginning with a set of neighborhood conversations, hosted virtually by community organizations. At each of these, small groups of residents and staff will be able to discuss different neighborhood ingredients and potential actions and advocacy for making them what residents want. Later this year, we will compile all the neighborhood conversations hosted by different groups into our first draft neighborhood plan. Here's our overall neighborhood plan project schedule. Our goal is to finalize and publish our neighborhood plan by the end of this year, then keep organizing residents and working to put it into action. That concludes the project introduction. You can learn more and stay involved by calling, texting, emailing, or visiting the website www.mifflinsquareplan.org.
The area for this neighborhood plan is between 4th and 9th Streets, from Mifflin Street down to Oregon. According to the U.S. Census, over 13,400 people live here, making it 4 times the people per area as Philly's average. One unique character of this area is its diversity by race, ethnicity, income, and language. For example, you can see a map of the entire city of Philadelphia.
Each dot represents 15 people according to how they identify themselves to the U.S. Census by race and ethnicity.
Purple is Black and African American people.
And green is Asian people.
Orange is people who have come to be known as white. Red is Latin and Hispanic people.
As you can see, Philly, like most U.S. cities, is very segregated. Now let us zoom into the area for this neighborhood plan and show 1 dot per person. You see how different it is? The census recorded that people living here trace their ancestry back to over 52 countries. In terms of people's annual income, the census estimates that households in some parts of the area have median incomes over $75,000 per year, way over the city's average of $46,000. Meanwhile, households in other areas struggle, earning just an average of $30,000 per year, just half of the city's average.
How did this place come to be like it is?
This land is the ancestral home of the Native American Lenape people. In the late 1800s, Philly's street grid spreads from the north, overtaking farms, and in 1893, the city government condemned and purchased the land to build Mifflin Square Park. This was followed by rapid building of row houses, shown as pink boxes on these maps from 1901 and 1904. It was a working-class neighborhood, and great effort was required to meet basic needs like health care and clean streets. Many new residents arrived as refugees from southern states and immigrants from Italy, Ireland, and Eastern Europe. This remained the case through the middle of last century, with the everyday joys, troubles, and tragedies of city living, as well as new improvements like the play equipment at Mifflin Square and the construction of Ford Rec Center. Longtime residents, Councilmember Mark Squilla and Bruce Baldwin, talk about the dangers they felt as young people going too far beyond their home blocks. Bruce described how the center of Mifflin Square Park was almost neutral territory, as the boundary line between the black neighborhood to the north and Italian and Irish American neighborhood south.
In the 1970s and 1980s, new residents arrived as immigrants and refugees, many from South Asian countries, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. In her 1995 essay, On the Edge, Southeast Asians in Philadelphia and the Struggle for Space, geographer Ellen Somikawa writes, refugee housing in Philadelphia in these decades, as in much of the United States, was often a disaster. Resettlement agencies found apartments for Vietnamese, Cambodian, and Hmong clients in declining, resegregating, contested working-class neighborhoods between black and white sections of West, South, and North Philadelphia. Unscrupulous landlords offered large blocks of apartments to the agencies, attracted by rent paid initially by the government, and refugees' presumed lack of awareness of their rights as renters. Many buildings lacked working heat, plumbing, or regular trash pickup. Some had also been sites of African American tenant activism. The eviction of blacks to make way for refugees contributed to tensions between African Americans and their new neighbors. Old-timers say that the majority of stores on 7th Street were sold from Jewish owners to Cambodian ones. A few blocks outside our focus area, there was a painful conflict over proposed affordable housing near Shunk and 2th Street from the 1950s through the 1980s, when the Whitman Park townhouses were finally built. This has been a long-term cause of conflict for this entire area of Philly and the overall city. Since then, new residents have come to this area from Bhutan, Mexico, Syria, Congo, Pakistan, and elsewhere. Throughout this time and since, many residents and groups have put in work to organize, create productive relationships, and build the neighborhoods that people want. This neighborhood plan will hopefully be a useful tool in this ongoing work.
The general environment ingredient covers things like cleanliness, safety, and health, as well as things that don't fit into the other 4 categories. We know people care about cleanliness, garbage, and litter, and have for at least the last 100 years. Here you can see the city's litter index that rates each block from green, meaning no litter, through red, meaning really bad litter that requires major cleanup. Safety is also really important. And here you can see a map of all the crimes reported by the Philadelphia Police Department so far this year. But those aren't the only things that make the general environment. This is a map of the tree canopy over the last decade, with existing trees shown in dark green, new trees in light green, and trees that were lost in red. You can compare the number of trees in this area with an area in Northwest Philly shown on the right, and see that we could use some more trees for shade, lowering the temperature, and better air. We also can't describe the general environment here without talking about food. Here's a map of some of the gardens, food stores, and restaurants that feed us. Now let's talk about what plans we want to make about the general environment. Potential actions that we can do ourselves as residents and organizations, as well as potential advocacy, where we want to convince the city government or others to do something. As your urban designers, we recommend that the plan include action and advocacy at least in 3 areas. First, improving safety. Second, improving cleanliness. And third, increasing greenery. You can see specific action and advocacy ideas in our policy catalog and discuss them in a neighborhood conversation.
The Parks and Local Institutions neighborhood ingredient includes things like parks, rec centers, schools, and other places and organizations that serve our community. On this map, you can see schools in blue, rec centers in light green, and parks in dark green located within 1 mile of Mifflin Square Park. This is a map of 38 community and religious organizations that we know about. 5 registered community organizations, RCOs, groups that are officially involved in approving new development, cover portions of this area. Now, let's talk about what plans we want to make for our parks and local institutions. As your urban designers, we recommend that the plan include action and advocacy at least in these 3 areas. 1. Improve park operations, cleanliness, safety, and programs. 2. Renovate parks. 3. Support community institutions, including schools. This would include advocating city government and others to fund the community's vision for rebuilding Mifflin Square Park. You can see specific actions and advocacy ideas in our policy catalog and discuss them in a neighborhood conversation.
The business and shopping ingredient includes all the stores and businesses in this area where people work and shop. Here you can see a map and some photos of existing businesses. Nearly all of these are small businesses owned by immigrants, and they create one of Philly's most unique shopping areas, while still having many needs for support and improving business, especially through the pandemic. Some of you may be aware of zoning. the laws for what you can build in Philly and where you can build it. This map shows a zoning change that has been proposed by the City Planning Commission, but not yet adopted, that would decrease the amount of land along 7th Street that allows businesses with the goal to, quote, right-size and strengthen the business corridor. Now, let's talk about what plans we want to make for business and shopping. As your urban designers, we recommend that the plan include action and advocacy in 3 areas. 1. Organize and support neighborhood businesses. 2. Improve the design and physical environment of shopping areas, maybe like these concepts developed with the Community Design Collaborative. 3. Promote and market neighborhood businesses. You can see specific action and advocacy ideas in our policy catalog and discuss them in a neighborhood conversation.
The houses and apartments ingredient includes all the places people call home. The census counted 5,190 homes in this area. Here, you can see the percentage of homes that are rented versus owned, and how in some parts over half the homes are rented, which in other areas is less than 20%. The median home values are around $150,000, and median rents are around $1,000 per month. This map shows the percentage of households that pay more than 30% of their income on housing costs. So one bottom line is that even if houses and apartments here are affordable by citywide standards, 10 to 50% of families are paying more than 30% of their income on housing costs. To cover these costs, some people have smaller places than they like. This map shows the percentage of households with more than one person living in each room. And this affordability crunch may get worse. Here, you see building permits issued over the last 5 years, which we know are often for expensive new buildings. According to the Pew Charitable Trust, in 2016, neighboring areas already showed clear evidence of gentrification, and this means our area is probably next. Now, let's talk about potential actions that residents or neighborhood groups might do, or things we might advocate to others. As your urban designers, we recommend that the plan include action and advocacy in 3 areas. 1. Help individual homeowners and tenants. 2. Organize to prevent gentrification and displacement. The registered community organizations are one way for residents to advocate for development they want. 3. Preserve and build affordable housing. You can see specific action and advocacy ideas in our policy catalog and discuss them in a neighborhood conversation.
The getting around ingredient includes all the ways people move around the area by walking, using wheelchairs, driving, biking, skateboarding, etc. Here's a few photos of our sidewalks, and here are our local bus routes. Let's talk about potential actions that residents or neighborhood groups might do, or things we might advocate for others to do. As your urban designers, we recommend that the plan include action and advocacy in 2 areas. 1. Better sidewalks and streets for walking, biking, skating, driving, etc. For example, after community advocacy, Indigo has agreed to bring new bike stations to this area. And maybe there could be an award program for residents and business people who make interesting and beautiful additions to their sidewalks. 2 is better bus experiences. Now you can see specific action and advocacy ideas in our policy catalog and discuss them in a neighborhood conversation.
All right, we've introduced all the neighborhood ingredients. The next step is for you and other residents to think about your priorities for action and advocacy. To do this, sign up for a scheduled neighborhood conversation. And feel free to communicate with our team directly by phone, text, or email. You can also visit mifflinsquarepark.org to keep up with the neighborhood plan's progress. Thanks, and be well.